Hello, Internet friends. Welcome back once again, and thank you all so very much for joining me here today. The footage that you're going to be watching is going to be a compilation of lifts over many different workouts for the past several weeks, getting caught up to kind of the current state. I've had two workouts that are not included in this video, but those will be in another video. Fingers crossed, assuming this one finally can get finished. I have been working on this video. As you can maybe surmise from the title, Resolutions, this was supposed to be done and finished a while ago, but to be perfectly honest, I have been battling with my editing software to have it stay consistent and not corrupt every time I try to sit down and do one of these longer commentaries, or to edit the video and put transitions in between, or to put the lift weights on there. It has been a challenge and a real test of my patience with myself and with my inability to understand the nuances that are technologies that aren't cooperating with me. But we're going to keep trying, and I'm going to be discussing today this topic. Before I get into that, I do want to mention, if you have missed the sound of my voice or the thoughts and ideas that have been going through my head and are looking for more chances to kind of catch up to that and see what I've been thinking about and some general thoughts that I have and have had for a long time, I was honored to be on a podcast with Bootstrap Barbell. I will link that down in the description. About a 90-minute time where myself and a guy named Vid had some good discussions about kind of my lifting history and some personal stuff, and then it branched off into much more mindset-focused things, and really, I think that the second half of the first half of the podcast is a lot of talking about my history and myself. The second half of the podcast, I think, is a little bit more helpful to general people if you're looking for more than just getting to know me a little better. So I encourage anybody who likes anything that I've done and has some time to put that on. There's no video element. You can just listen to it, and I encourage you to do that. We did record it at 8 o'clock in the morning, so you can kind of tell that I'm waking up as it goes, but I was very excited and thankful for that opportunity, so thanks, Vid, for letting me do that. And now, finally, we're going to get into the conversation topic that I have picked out for today, and it is something that is referring kind of to a common theme that comes up at the beginning of the year, and that's the idea of resolutions. And I have seen a mixed bag of different ideas on social media recently. Some people are gung-ho for the resolutions. Some people are very anti-resolution. They say, I don't have any resolutions. I'm just going to make changes now. And I guess kind of the encouragement that I want to offer to both sides is that if using a specific date like the start of the year can be a powerful tool for you to find the motivation to start something that you've been putting off, and then go ahead and do that. Don't feel bad about that. Be encouraged by having something that's kind of set up as a built-in opportunity to work on making a significant change that can positively improve your life. And if it's past that and you feel like you missed your chance, I also encourage you not to just wait for the new year to start a resolution. If you have something in your life that you really are wanting to work on, and you're really wanting to bring up some aspect of your existence, then any time is the best time to do that. And that's really the first point. I have kind of a list in my mind of these bullet points that I want to talk about how to set up for those changes. And the real meat of this video, the real discussion that I want to get into, is kind of some tools to help you identify the things that are going to be the changes that you want to make when you have my entire philosophy that I've shared throughout this channel, and the way I try to live my life, is to constantly be in a state of working for growth and improvement. I talk about that in every single video, but we're really going to be discussing here some of the ways to go about doing that. And the first step is to kind of identify what direction that means for you. You can't just go ahead and say, well, I want to just completely and totally change my life and have the expectation for that to happen overnight. You need to break it down, you need to reduce it, but you really need to start out by finding out what your intentions are. You need to do a little bit of thinking and planning to decide what kind of person you want to be, what kind of things you want to do. And I personally practice this through a daily affirmation. I wake up in the morning, I write down some things that I'm grateful for, I write down the things that I'd like to do during that day, and then I write a daily affirmation or kind of a statement that is testifying the person that I am trying to become. And I personally have reduced it down to a pretty consistent thing that helps me kind of center my focus in the beginning of the day in the direction that I want to move forward, and everything else that I will do comes back to that. So you have to find your intentions. You have to figure out why you're making the choices that you're making. And so if you're, a lot of people, I'll use the example of losing weight or starting to eat better for their New Year's resolution. A lot of people fail on that because they have this kind of arbitrary goal, but they don't have the why associated with it. You have to find your what. You want to lose weight? Well, why do you want to lose weight? What is the importance of doing that? Is it to look better? Is it to feel better? Is it to live longer? Is it to enjoy the time that you have more? Because once you attach a why to the what, then you are instantly increasing your the chances that you're going to be able to follow through with it, because it becomes more meaningful to you when you attach that meaning. The second kind of idea that I think is very helpful is to try and reduce and simplify your goals into kind of the smallest version of what it takes to start that in that individual day. It's very easy to get caught up and think in these broad, long-term, sweeping scopes of, oh, this is what I'm going to do for this, in the next 6 months I'm going to do this thing. But you have to be able to kind of have the in the moment thinking that allows you to make a decision, that you can kind of recenter yourself in this moment by having a reduction, saying, well, what is the thing that I could do right now? What's the first step of something that I can do today to be working towards that goal? Because you may be highly motivated at the beginning of your resolution. You will be resolute in your decision. You will have a lot of driving force right at the start, but it's important to find kind of the initial steps that you need to take, not just for the 6-month or year-long journey, but for this individual day. Once you get up in the morning, try to start your day off in a way that is going to allow you to be successful in chasing that goal little by little each given day. I personally like to implement this thing that I call the 3 times a day rule, where I have some things written up on a whiteboard that kind of, if I find myself wandering and in my own thinking and not being very focused on the task that I've chosen to try and complete for that day, I try to ask myself, why am I doing this? And is what I'm doing right now moving me towards the goal that I've set, for whether it's a long-term goal or whether it's the goal for this specific day that's going to move me towards that? And then what can I do right now to make it better? I ask myself that in the morning. I ask myself that sometime around the middle of the day, and then not right before bed, but a few hours before, I kind of try and recenter myself by asking those questions, because it allows me, again, to place importance on these ideas. When you have a goal, why is it there? Why is it important? Okay, now what can I do in this moment to work towards that? Even if it's just a small step, find the first thing that you can do, even if you don't want to do it, and just commit yourself for just that first little bit, and you may find yourself kind of hitching a ride on a little bit of that momentum where you get excited about moving forward towards your goal. The third step is to be able to forgive yourself and be gentle but consistent in some course corrections. When you ask yourself those questions during the day and you have an answer that is, I don't know why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, or I'm not being focused, or I'm losing track of my goals, and it can be frustrating. You can get mad at yourself. You can start to point to external factors and say, well, this is what's happening and this is why it's happening. But you have to learn to forgive yourself for being a person and for being human and for being flawed and not being able to be 100% committed and focused all the time, and then to gently allow yourself to kind of reorient towards the task at hand, towards the goals that you have. If you just beat yourself up about it, if you're not able to forgive yourself for that, then it can lead to some depressive states, and you want to avoid that. You don't want to beat yourself. I don't want to say into submission for not completing everything the way that you envisioned it in a moment of high motivation and planning, because that's not effective. You get down on yourself, and it actually lowers your chances of being motivated. It's important to recognize, okay, maybe I'm not where I thought I would be or where I want to be, and then celebrate that you've recognized that you have strayed, that it can be a little victory, that you're aware that you are doing the thing that isn't pointed in the right direction towards your goal, and then allow yourself to say, I forgive myself for not being perfect yet, and now I'm going to try and find the thing that I can do right now to get myself closer to being back on track. The fourth thing is to have acceptance that there is going to be failure in that. It's important to forgive yourself when it happens. It's important to accept going in that there will be failures, and you're not going to reach every single goal every single time at every stage of it. There are good days and bad days. We all tend to latch onto that idea once we're having a bad day. It's much better to go into a commitment willing to accept that there are negative things going in. A lot of people, when you plan out this perfect plan for your self-improvement, a lot of people kind of fail to factor in that there's going to be not just general difficulties, but there will probably be specific difficulties that you could see coming, and accept that those are going to happen, and not everything is going to be in your control, but to commit yourself to giving your absolute best effort to recenter yourself in a forgiving way towards those little steps that are going to push you towards the why. The fifth point here is going to be, I would like to encourage you all to be honest with yourself in each of those moments. The forgiveness is very helpful in this, because we are very tempted, and oftentimes people will fall off from their goals and point to a bunch of reasons and make excuses. And I don't think there's anything wrong with excusing a behavior. That's important to practice that forgiveness and acceptance. You have to accept that you can't control every factor. You have to accept that there are going to be difficulties. You have to forgive yourself when they come up. And then you also need to be honest with yourself and recognize that even if an excuse or a reason that something didn't happen is perfectly valid, it has to be constructive. You have to use that as a piece of information that you can refine your plan for the next step so that you can be more successful on your next attempt, instead of just falling into the bad pattern and the bad habit of saying, well, it was out of my control, what am I going to do, and I just quit. It's be constructive with it. Say, well, it's out of my control. What could I have done better to allow myself a better chance of being successful in whatever task was at hand to do that? Number 6 here is going to be practicing your mental resilience. And this is something that I've been working on myself. I have been meditating in the mornings. I've been doing mindfulness training specifically to become better at recognizing when I am mindlessly just sitting through the day and going through without a purpose in the actions that I'm taking. I've been kind of trying to schedule myself a little bit better to get me back on track, and then practicing the skill of recognizing when you're not focused towards the goals that you have chosen. to do. It's a different thing when you're supposed to be relaxing, when you've kind of given yourself, like, this is the time when I'm supposed to be relaxing and not thinking of things. But that should be because you're giving yourself that time, not because you wanted to do something else but you got distracted. And so practice your mental resilience. It's basically the skill of putting a value-based decision, your why and your what, putting those at the forefront of your decision-making process instead of having to rely on motivation in the moment, because motivation is fleeting. It is tied to your emotions, but the goals that you set, those are the values. That's the person you want to be. Those are the things you want to achieve, and you have to link your decision-making process to that instead of relying on, oh, I feel like doing this today. Because if it is something that is going to be a real change in your life, there's probably a reason you haven't already made it. And so you need to set yourself up for the biggest potential of success by recognizing why you're doing the thing that you're doing and choosing to make decisions that are going to be in favor of that goal instead of relying on yourself to feel like doing them. Because if you haven't been feeling like doing them for the previous times in your life, then the chances of you suddenly changing kind of those internal desires is very low. And so set yourself up for success. Recognize why you're doing it, and then try and think, what are the decisions that I can make right now that are going to support that goal, and you will be more successful with it. And that's pretty much the list. We've run out of lifting footage, unfortunately. But I do want to just encourage you once again that it's not hopeless. If you've been trying to change yourself for the better for a long time and keep failing, it doesn't mean that it's not meant to be. It just means that you haven't found the right combination of tools yet. And I hope that this video can serve as a supportive structure for you to hopefully find the things that you want to improve about your own life and be able to chase them with a little bit more effectiveness, because I truly do believe that you are worth the effort, and you owe it to yourself to be the best version of yourself, and to constantly find opportunities to change towards the person that you want to be, and you will live a more fulfilled life and a more beneficial life to those around you. And it is just, in my opinion, so important to constantly seek growth, and I think that these can be helpful for doing that. So thank you all so much for sticking through this. Go ahead and check out that podcast link down below if you're interested in it, and I look forward to talking to you all very soon. I've got a lot of different ideas, and I'm going to try my darndest to stay on top of those, and it's a personal goal of mine to overcome my technological deficiencies so that I can get back to this outlet that I do enjoy and sharing in this community that I have with all of you. So thank you once again, and I will talk to you very soon. Have a great day. Bye.